Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to preview round 7 of the 2026 NRL Fantasy season. So before we talk about my team specifically, we'll have a look at the who's hot and who's not list, so the most popular trade-ins and trade-outs for NRL Fantasy this week. And at number 1, we've got Thomas Cant, so the Newcastle second rower. With the news that Dylan Lucas is going to miss a few weeks with a busted throat, Cant should slot in, and he's a good chance of getting 80 minutes on the edge. And he has shown in the past when he can do that he's a pretty decent scorer. He's nice and cheap, under 300k from memory. So, yeah, great option to bring in this week. At number 2, Patrick Herbert. So, pretty cheap. I think he's about 280k from memory. And named to start this week. Not sure about the longer term job security. Not 100% sure what's going on around staff with Toa as they try to bring him back up to speed after his injury. So I guess if you need an option this week because KL Hero's out, for example, on the bye, yeah, Herbert could be a short-term solution. Another potentially short-term solution at number 3, Sonny Luke. So with Reid Marnie out with concussion this week, Sonny Luke gets the start. Looking at the team the Cowboys named, there's a good chance he plays 80 minutes. And so if he can replicate his scoring from last week, I think that's a pretty handy sort of play. Again, you'd imagine Reid Marnie will be back next week and probably gets the start, but it could be a case of Sonny Luke could just play his way into the jersey, which would be pretty wild. But crazier things have happened. At number 4, Brandon Smith, so probably a bit more of a reliable replacement for Reid Marnie. Or obviously if your Brayley is on the bye this week, you've got him. You do need a playable option. You know, Brandon Smith's cheap, covers dual position with the middle as well. Yeah, so I've already got him in the team. Can absolutely get on board with people trading him in. Herbie Farnworth. So I do like this trade. If you wanted to trade out a Kale, for example, the swing to Herbie Farnworth is great. I've probably got other things I need to prioritise, so I'm not getting Herbie just yet. The Dolphins do have a bit of a tougher run over the next month, so I'm hoping that he doesn't light it up as much as usual, and I can get him at a slightly discounted price. Number 6, Alex Twal. So it looks like he's a keeper in the middle, so bring him in at any time. Simi Sasungi at number 7. So I talked a bit in the Supercoach video about the fact that Matt Timoko has been named, which suggests that Sasungi might switch sides, which might potentially limit his scoring. But the job security is there. It looks like he is the number 1 centre, and they just sort of fit around him, which is nice. But yeah, it's probably not one I'm looking at, but I can understand why people would bring him in. Cooper Clark at number 8. So, yep, I think he's still got a bit of cash to make. Job security seems pretty good, albeit he won't be on the edge. He'll probably go back to the bench, but I think he's now a starting 17 player, so it could be useful, and just, yeah, I guess if you need a cheap middle, here's your guy. Tom Chester at number 9, so, he's proven to be a pretty decent scorer. Obviously, you've missed out on a lot of cash generation, but there's still some to go. Plus, the scoring's pretty good. You could hold him as your bench cover for wing, fullback, and centre once you've got your sort of full premium team. Scotty Drinkwater at number 10, so probably a keeper in the wing, fullback position, so it makes sense if you wanted to get on. Thomas Duffy, so this is probably another little short-term play. Well, actually, Adam Reynolds has been named, so I haven't seen the update. So this might be one that you have to reverse. I was keen on getting him last week. Um, I've talked about that. I won't go through it again. But yeah, just probably keep an eye out for team lists. And if Reynolds drops out, I think Duffy is a good option. Again, short term, but there's a few short termers at the moment. Jesse Arthurs, yeah, I didn't see what he scored last week at fullback, to be perfectly honest. Let's have a quick look. Must have done all right because he's up to 410. So scored 42. So he scored more playing on the wing in round five, albeit he probably swung to fullback at some stage when Reece Walsh was out. But just having a look at the stats, good meterage, uh, tackle breaks are there, had line breaks and tries as well, which boosted his score. But I guess none of the sort of stuff like the try assists or the kicking meters, 4 kick meters, there you go, that you would get from a Reece Walsh. So um, he's wing fullback only. If he was dual position, that'd be a bit handier. Um, but I guess if you're looking for someone at that price point, he probably is the smart choice. Nari Tuala. So this is an interesting one. He has been playing pretty well. Named at right centre. We saw what who played last week. Was it the Tigers? Did to Parramatta's left edge defence last week. Probably just the one thing to caveat with this is Stephen Crichton is floating in the reserves list. Um, and if he comes back, there is a chance it is for Tuala at right centre. So it's the last game of the round, which makes it a little bit of a punt as well. But yeah, just be mindful with that. But I don't think it's the worst yet. What's he priced at? Yeah, so 550k dual position. Yeah, could be worth a stab. Jaden Campbell, I've got him in my halves. I think he's a keeper. So bring him in this week. And Latrell, keeper, bring him in this week. On the trade outs list, Dave Fafita out for 6 weeks, so pretty easy trade out. Joe Chan, obviously off a stinker last week. Yeah, I think you can trade him out. He's made his money. We can move on. Reed Marnie, so obviously not playing this week. And if you're like me and he's your starting hooker, you're in a bit of trouble, so trade him out this week. Jai Gray, injured for a few weeks, he's a trade out. Mitchell Moses, I guess if you've got the cash with these trade outs to go up to a Campbell or even a Cleary if you haven't got him, makes sense to get off the Moses train. Moses Leo, not named to play, you can trade him out. Casey McLean's only a 1 weeker, so if you brought him in, I'd just hold. You've got him as a keeper, so I'd be holding. If you bought him in just as a quick cash grab, then fair enough. Reece Walsh is still out for a while, so he's a trade out. Daniel Atkinson's not doing much, so he's a trade out. Jacob Kiraz, obviously not playing on the right edge, um, but he's playing Parramatta this week, um, and I think the Bulldogs have a good run. So obviously he's lost a bit of value, but he's one I'd keep the faith in and hold. Jesse Colhoun, so I traded out last week and regretted it. Um, yeah, he'd have a nice break even, wouldn't he? He'd make a little bit more cash. But I guess if he is the one you are trading out to a top line keeper like an Alex Twal or something like that, yeah, I can get around trading out Colhoun. Macassini, so named on the wing this week, so I want to give him a chance. But yeah, definitely one I could consider trading out this week. Just depends on what you're doing. Pat Carrigan, so going to miss 2 weeks, and with Origin coming up as well, probably makes sense to get off. Trey Mooney, yeah, I'm going to hold, but I can see why people would trade again. He's in that, he's made, or he's not really made a lot of money, but he's sort of done the job that you want if you've now got money to upgrade. And Ethan Sanders, probably another one that you can look to upgrade if you've got the money. So, yeah, in terms of my trades, this week. They all feature on that list. In fact, the top three trade out to the ones I'm trading out. I'm getting out of Joe Chan, Reed Mining, Dave Fafita. So Joe Chan to Thomas Cant, just like for like. So 320. I thought he was under 300. That's in Supercoach. But 320k is still good value for what he can produce. Reed Marnie's out, so we're just bringing in Sonic Luke. As I said, looks like he'll play 80 minutes. So playable option this week. Make a little bit of cash, and then we can maybe do something with it in a week or two. And then Dave Fafita, with him out, we're going up to our main target this week, which is the Trell Mitchell. So, strengthening the wing fullbacks and centre position there. So what the team looks like going into this week. So Sonny Luke at hooker, the big three in the middle, Martin and Lukey, our edges. They both play in the first two games of the week, so it makes sense to play them on field. The gun halves, Cleary, Campbell. So Latrell comes into our centre spot with Kale Euro on the bye. So Tommy Chester, Failonga and Kiros. So alongside Euro, that'll be our sort of wing fullback five until we can obviously upgrade to Heavy Farmworth. Um, and then, as I said, Tommy Chester will probably be our sixth sort of guy. Um, we may also need to target another wing fullback in the form of a Walsh when he comes back, Drinkwater, those sort of picks. But yeah, we need money for that to happen. Um, so we're going to play Macassini this week. As I said, named against the Broncos on the wing. I think he could be a big scorer this week. And the bench, so Hamish Stewart, Arama Ho, Trey Mooney, just doing their thing. And then we're going to have a look at Brandon Smith against the Dragons. If he scores all right, we'll keep him. If not, we can loop in Thomas Cant, who plays on the Sunday against the Roosters. So a bit of an opportunity to do a little bench loop. Fayamani, Papali'i, they're just making up the numbers at the moment. So that's fine. And then captain, vice captain. I've just gone with captaincy on Cleary to bounce back against the Dolphins. Um, could have considered Campbell, but against the Warriors over in New Zealand, bit of a tough matchup. Um, and then I've got Payne Haas's VC just without Carrigan. I think he might have to stand up against Alex Twal, Terrell May, and that Tigers pack. But that's the team going into round 7. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the NRL Fantasy content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.